High atop the planet, nestled amongst the heavens, lies Tibet, a land of unparalleled beauty and profound mystery. A land of soaring peaks, ancient monasteries, and a culture that has remained largely untouched by the outside world for centuries. This unique culture is deeply rooted in Buddhist spirituality, with rituals and traditions passed down through generations. For centuries, Tibet flourished in isolation, its people hardened by the unforgiving terrain, yet warmed by their unwavering faith and sense of community. The Dalai Lama, revered as a living god, guided his people with wisdom and compassion. His rule was a beacon of peace and stability in a tumultuous world, offering hope and guidance to his followers. This spiritual haven, however, would soon face a threat unlike any other, one that would challenge its very existence. A powerful neighbor, driven by ideology and ambition, cast its gaze upon the peaceful plateau, seeing an opportunity for expansion and control. Little did the world know, a tragedy was about to unfold, forever altering the fate of Tibet and its people, leaving a lasting impact on their culture and way of life. The year was 1950. The Chinese Communist Party, fresh from its victory in the Civil War, turned its attention towards consolidating its control over the vast territories it now claimed. Tibet, with its strategic importance and resource-rich land, became a prime target. The People's Liberation Army marched into Tibet, crushing the ill-prepared Tibetan forces with their superior firepower. The Tibetan government, desperate to avoid bloodshed, sought a peaceful resolution. They signed the 17-point agreement, a treaty that promised autonomy for Tibet under Chinese sovereignty. This agreement, however, would soon prove to be nothing more than a deceitful facade. With boots on the ground, China began its systematic dismantling of Tibetan culture. Monasteries, once vibrant centers of learning and spirituality, were ransacked and destroyed. Monks were forced to abandon their vows, their ancient traditions branded as superstitions by the atheist regime. The Tibetan language was suppressed, replaced with Mandarin in schools and government institutions. The Chinese government implemented its own brand of reform, collectivizing land and forcing nomadic Tibetans into settlements. This upheaval of their traditional way of life led to widespread suffering and resentment. The Tibetan identity, carefully preserved for centuries, was under assault. Section 4: Flight of the God King, A Journey into Exile. This chapter delves into the harrowing journey of the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people as they faced an uncertain future. As China tightened its grip, resistance among the Tibetan people grew. The Chinese government's policies aimed to suppress Tibetan culture and autonomy, leading to widespread unrest. Protests erupted in Lhasa, the capital city, met with brutal force by the Chinese military. The streets of Lhasa became battlegrounds, echoing with the cries of those demanding freedom. Fear and uncertainty gripped the Tibetan people. Families were torn apart, and the once peaceful region was engulfed in chaos and despair. In the face of this escalating crisis, the Dalai Lama, a symbol of hope and resilience, was forced to make an agonizing decision. He had to choose between staying and risking his life or fleeing to ensure the survival of his people and their culture. In 1959, under the cover of darkness, the Dalai Lama, along with his closest advisors and a small entourage, embarked on a treacherous journey across the Himalayas. The journey was fraught with danger as they navigated harsh terrains and evaded capture. Their destination, India, a land that welcomed them with open arms. The Indian government provided sanctuary, allowing the Dalai Lama and his followers to continue their spiritual and cultural practices. The Dalai Lama's flight into exile marked a turning point in the Tibetan struggle, a struggle that continues to this day. His journey symbolizes the enduring spirit of the Tibetan people in their unwavering quest for freedom and justice. Section 5: A Prayer for Tibet. The struggle continues. The story of Tibet is one of resilience in the face of oppression. For decades, the Tibetan people have endured hardships, yet their spirit remains unbroken. Their culture, rich in tradition and spirituality, continues to thrive despite the challenges they face. The Dalai Lama, now residing in Dharamsala, India, has tirelessly advocated for his people, promoting a message of peace and non-violence. His efforts have garnered international support, bringing global attention to the Tibetan cause. Inside Tibet, the spirit of resistance continues to flicker, despite the ever-present threat of Chinese retaliation. The courage of the Tibetan people is evident in their daily acts of defiance and their unwavering commitment to their identity. The world bears witness to this ongoing struggle, a stark reminder of the human cost of political ambition. International protests and campaigns highlight the global solidarity with Tibet, emphasizing the universal desire for justice and freedom. As we look to the future, one can only hope that dialogue and understanding will prevail, paving the way for a just and peaceful resolution to this decades-long tragedy. The preservation of Tibetan culture and heritage is crucial for future generations. Until then, the plight of Tibet serves as a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom and self-determination is far from over. The resilience and hope of the Tibetan people inspire us all to stand up for what is right and just.